Bombay!
Hi, this is Ron from POCculture.com. Saadi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, good. Great to chat with you. Obviously excited to chat about your project. I thought it was really, really powerful and fun film. But first, I know you're quite the coffee aficionado, so I have to ask
I
you,
mean,
you got yours? Where
this
is
is
can
my
we find the
second,
second of the
my
day?
second
And
one. Yeah,
yeah, and just a note, it's 2 p.m. on the West Coast.
I know. I drink
But
coffee like water. It's like really bad.
well, you got to keep going. You gotta keep that grind. So where we've got to go to the expert. Where can we find the best coffee in the East Bay?
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I always hype up Red Bay Coffee. They're a Black-owned roastery and coffee shop in Oakland. And they also have some spots in SF and LA too, which is really nice. And my second one is Timeless. They also roast their own coffee, and but they're also a vegan bakery. And like usually, vegan bakeries have hit or miss, but every single pastry they have tastes like an actual as if it was filled with milk and butter and everything. It's so good. So those are my two top choices.
Love it. We've got to get you some kind of sponsorship or endorsement, clearly.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks for the heads up. I'm definitely going to check them out next time I'm in the Bay. So I appreciate that. Yeah, let's talk about your film and your journey to this film. Obviously, Self has a lot of amazing themes about belonging, about our desire to integrate, and fit in. But what's the origin story? I know you tell a lot of personal stories. Like, where did this idea for the story come from?
Yeah, I think it stems from self is short for self-sabotage, and there's times when like I think when my insecurities get the best of me is usually when I like self-sabotage myself the most. So when I was first like wanting to write this story, I really focused on those like emotions and feelings of like self-sabotage. And as someone who's like a Ethiopian American, like America, I always struggled to kind of belong, whether it was like my Ethiopian side of my culture, where I wasn't born there and I don't speak that language, but yet I'm like surrounded by the people of family. Like sometimes it's like a struggle of me belonging in that community. And then the flip side of that is being a Black American just in America, and that struggle of itself too. And then there's also just like very small microaggressions and like moments in my life too, just like whether the workforce or like me going to school at UCLA where I kind of just like struggled to fit in. And I really, really wanted to focus in the film of like, not only did I struggle to fit in, but like how I kind of do the exact opposite of what I should have in order to belong. And then me suffering the consequences of it. And the second part of two is just like this is like an immigrant story, and it was really important to me to kind of talk about like kind of like the African experience of moving to an urban city, which is something my mom and dad went through too when they came to America, and how they didn't speak English, they didn't like go to school, so like kind of this idea of like how they had to conform and like you know be super American or follow like the American dream in order to like belong in this community as well. So those are kind of like the two big points for me.
Yeah, I love that and totally resonates, right? You talked about like the challenge that all of us that are part of like a diaspora group, it's like we don't fit in sometimes on either side. And there's so many layers of that. I heard you actually talk a little bit about, I know you went to UCLA and you grew up on like the east side of LA. And then when you moved to Westwood, even that was a big cultural change, right? Like how much did that affect you of like just that small, seemingly small geographic movement, but like a cultural challenge for you?
Yeah, it was kind of like this big, like it's like I was like a small, was it a small fish in a big, and I was like a big fish in a small pond, and suddenly it was like, oh shit, I'm a small fish in a big ocean. I think like just like even like me, it was also a time of like me realizing that I wanted to be an artist. And that was also just like another struggle of me too, where like I was surrounded by kids who like, went to like were writing screenplays since they were in middle school, or like had, were Nepo babies and they had like family in the industry, or like, went to summer camps and I couldn't afford to go to summer camps when I was young. And like just like not having like life experiences was also another big thing too. And like I'm someone like when I was at UCLA, I had like three jobs and like was constantly interning, and like I couldn't like I loved my college experience, but I definitely was like working so much while I was in college in order to again fit in. Like everyone wanted to go to Coachella. Coachella was so expensive and I had to like work so much and like apply to scholarships while I was in school in order to fit in and go to these kind of events and stuff. So like yeah, even like things like that kind of like affected me too, where like I need to like play the part and do what everyone else is doing. And it was like really hard for someone who didn't kind of have the resources or, like the parents could kind of help doing that.
Yeah, no wonder you drink coffee like water, having to have 3 jobs and internships, right?
Honestly, yeah, it helps. But now that I'm so immune to it, I need to find another way to stay up to work.
All right, we're not gonna go down that road.
Yes.
um, but I totally see all of those themes and your personal experiences in your film. The visuals are stunning. It's stop motion, and I thought that was amazing. Why stop motion? Why is that like the right type of animation for your story?
I went for stop motion because when I went to UCLA, I actually studied stop motion and screenwriting. So for me, it was like a really great full circle moment of like the reason why I joined this industry in the first place. I was someone who never wanted to learn how to draw. I am not one of those like ever since I was a kid, I was like, that is not me. But I love being on set and I loved animation because I just love how it brings people together. And this is something Peter Sohn said too for Elemental, where like he would watch animated films with his mom, and it was like one of the first times where like he didn't have to like explain things to his mom what was going on in the movie. Like there's something very universal about animation that I love too. It's like stop motion for me is just like tends to tell like a bit more darker stories and tales, and like this film doesn't really have like a perfect happy Disney ending, and I really wanted to use a medium to kind of help push further the type of stories I want to tell, especially since I believe animation is a medium and not a genre. And lastly, again, I told myself I wasn't going to use stop motion unless it's like important in the story. And the story is about someone not belonging. So not only is she like looks like everyone else, sounds like differently, but she's also animated different like everyone else. So it was really important that like she was the only stop motion. She was the only one with her imperfect stop motion movement versus the CG characters are more smooth and silk and like, animated in ones.
Yeah, I loved that contrast. I thought that really stuck out. And can we talk about that main character's design? The carvings, the hair, earrings. I'd love to hear more about like the details that went into her development.
Yeah, so like one of the things I wanted to do was like kind of show like the thought process of like what it's like to immigrate to the States. And one of the things I wanted to do that with was her outfit. So like I'm someone who loves to wear crop tops. I'm wearing it now too, except my laptop's too low so you can't see it. But trust, I'm wearing a crop top, not full shirt. But I really wanted to show that like when she was traveling here and when she was ready to come to, like America, in the sense that like she wanted to fit in and she even made like an outfit that she felt like would fit into like kind of like an urban style. So like traditional Ethiopian clothes are like fully covered. You're not showing your midsection at all. But like that was one of the big things I want to show. Like let's like premeditate like her thinking that like, oh, she wears this outfit. And again, it goes back to like belonging, conforming, where like looking like everyone else is important too. Um, the next thing too is also just like the Ethiopian carvings on her body. Ethiopians have like really specific like tattoos on their body. The biggest one was like the crest on her chest, and there's like three kind of like rings around her neck, and like right on her left side of her eye, there's like 211s. No, left side of her eye, there's like 211s, and that's specifically from the Tigray region of Ethiopia, and it was really important for me to be very specific with where she is culturally because Ethiopia is a big country and there's like I don't know like over 80 languages there too. Like it's just like there's so much like specific tribes and people and like specific regions, and I really want to specifically represent the Tigray region because that's where my family is from. And lastly, like she's like a wooden doll, and there's something about like when I think of like just like Ethiopian crosses and they're all wooden and someone hand carves them. It takes a time to do that. And that's something that we talked a lot about her design, where she was like crafted by a masterful like craftsman. And there's imperfections, but the imperfections is what makes her so beautiful. But at the same time, she doesn't see those like as beautiful. They just see her not, fitting in and being wrong and not being like everyone else. So those are kind of like the main elements about like the way that she's designed, even her hair. we had to like 3D scan my own hair to have it match and be her hair because for a while she was looking like Medusa, and I was like, no. And then they scanned my hair with an iPhone, and then magically I approved it. It was really weird. I don't know why. You know, Ron. It just ended up working out.
It's just a wonder that the hair was just perfect after that 3D scan.
I wonder
Well,
why.
I love those details. Again, fantastic story. Congratulations, and thank
Thank
you
you,
for
Ron.
sharing for your journey as well. Looking forward to more.
Yes, thank you so much.